Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. Hope you're all doing well on this Friday. We finally made it to Friday, folks. It is Friday. Thank God for that. All right. And as you see, I still have my Army of the Dead inspired lighting going on in the background. I just thought it was kind of cool. I thought it shows up as a cool shade of green on camera. Like, it's more Christmas light green in real life, but it shows up that same like eerie, sickly green of like uh, uh, Minas Morgul um, on camera. So I just thought it was cool. Anyway, I digress. I'm sort of losing my train of thought here. All right, so let's get right into it. This is the article from CBR.com, and it says why Eomer became the king of Rohan in The Lord of the Rings. When King Theoden fell in The Lord of the Rings, Eomer took his place on the throne. But why was he next in line? And why did Aragorn not claim Rohan? This is coming to us from Ben Hardwick. And there you see a picture of Billy Butcher. Carl Urban. Eomer. Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings extended editions have a total runtime exceeding 11 hours. Yet even they couldn't possibly fit everything and everyone from the books. Some key plot points are missing, and some major characters had to be left underdeveloped, with Eomer being a prime example. While Eowyn's brother did help the Fellowship, his overall presence was kept to a minimum, and it was barely explained why he became king of Rohan at the end. If it weren't for Eomer, I I know how to pronounce it. It's Eomer, right? Or Eomer. I don't know. It's just for some reason I'm inclined to want to say it differently, and I don't know why. Aragorn and his crew would never have made it to Rohan so swiftly, and Gandalf would have faced far more resistance when curing King Theoden. But once the king is snapped out of his trance, Eomer's presence somewhat dwindles, and his ending is breezed over. Yet Eomer's fate is incredibly important for Middle Earth, as despite not being Theoden's firstborn son and Aragorn becoming the king of men, he's still allowed to rule over Rohan, Eomer's relation to King Theoden. Prior to The Lord of the Rings, King Theoden's sister gave birth to two children, Eowyn and Eomer. But the family was struck with tragedy after their father was slain by orcs and their mother was taken by illness. Theoden and his wife, Elfhild, adopted his niece and nephew and treated them as his own. Not long after, Theoden and Elfhild had a child of their own, Theodred. Sadly, Elfhild passed during the birth, leaving Theoden alone with three children. Years later, Prince Theodred was slain by orcs in the first great battle against Saruman's forces. And so, with no brother or child directly descended from his blood, Theoden's adopted son, Eomer, was next in line to sit on the throne. This didn't take long to happen, as Theoden was soon killed by the Witch King of Angmar during the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, leaving Eomer to lead his people against the remainder of Sauron's forces. Why Aragorn allowed Eomer to remain king, because he's not a dick. When Aragorn was crowned king in the grand finale of The Lord of the Rings, he wasn't just a ruler of Gondor. He was titled King of Arnor, King of Gondor, and High King of the Reunited Kingdoms, which meant he ruled over a large portion of Middle-earth spanning all across the south. Part of this area included Rohan, which was not only a nearby kingdom of men, but a relatively new one at that, created roughly 500 years before The Lord of the Rings. Usually, Rohan would have come under Aragorn's rule, yet he allowed the kingdom to remain independent. However, this was granted under one condition. Eomer had to take the oath of Eorl. Eorl. Ugh. This oath swore that Gondor and Rohan would forever be in an alliance, and that, quote, their enemies shall be our enemies, their need shall be our need, unquote. Meaning, if either kingdom was ever in peril, the beacons would be lit and the other would answer the call for aid. While the Lord of the Rings has its fair share of death, the kingdoms of men end up far better than they started. So much so that Aragorn's coronation marks the beginning of a new age in Middle Earth, one where men prosper for centuries to come under their new kings, Aragorn and Eomer. All right, and there you go. That's why Eomer became the king of Rohan in the Lord of the Rings, basically because Theoden died. Again, I'm not knocking the article. The article, I would say I agree with a fair bit of it. It is a accurate assessment of the overall situation. Um, I think it makes some assumptions. It makes some assumptions that for some reason, Aragorn would want to just like take over everything, right? Because they're like, well, why didn't he? Like I said, because he's not a douchebag, because he understands that, hey, you didn't do this by yourself, and he says the piece is for everybody, right? And so it seems to me like one of the things you can do as a newly crowned leader, right, the quote unquote returned king of legend, would be to say, hey, look, you Rohan guys, you stepped up when you were needed and stuff like that, and so we respect you guys, so y'all run your own business. Just we'll pledge to be there for each other, and we'll be allies, and we'll be friends and stuff like that, but I don't need to control you in any way. And I think that's just common sense. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like why would that be an issue? I don't understand it. But yeah. And I mean, and I think ultimately, when push comes to shove, Eomer would know that on some level, maybe some subconscious level, that like Aragorn or King Elisar would sort of be the lead, if you will, and that Eomer and Rohan would support King Elisar, right? So I just think it's kind of weird that they're making it out like well, why wasn't he just like subjugated? I mean, Elisar also gave the hobbits the Shire as an independent nation, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there, but if I remember it correctly, that's what I read, right? Was that ultimately the Shire is an independent nation, within the territory that Aragorn rules, if you will. So I don't understand why the big deal about Eomer getting the same treatment. You would just think it would be natural, right? But anyway, that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Why do you think Aragorn let Eomer and Rohan be an independent nation within his kingdom? That's basically what the article's asking. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. That's gonna do it for me for this one. We're trudging through Friday. Got to get to the weekend, folks. Got to get to the weekend. We're right at the finish line. All right, that's going to do it for now. Remember, if you like the video, If you want to share the video, by all means, do so. Get it out there. It gets it seen, and it helps us with the YouTube algorithm. If you have not subscribed already, I would hope that you would consider subscribing to the channel and joining the army of beautiful badasses as we hold the line for the Professor and his works, as well as other works of high fantasy like Dungeons & Dragons, Dragonlance, and the Elder Scrolls, which in their current form serve as a way of escaping our day-to-day mundane lives and give us a world that we can sort of run away to in little brief snippets of time, and just let them stay unsullied by the modern world and its modern sensibilities, right? Anyway, so I would hope that you would join us as we hold that line. And for those of you guys who are returning subscribers, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys and gals make it all worthwhile. All right, that's going to do it for me for this one. Remember to go check us out down over on the Discord. I'll put the link down in the description below. Also, check out the merch if you want to support the channel in any way. It does help. It allows me to, purchase things that are needed to sort of, keep the quality of the show at a minimum, I guess, whatever this is, keeps the lights on, right? But it's not necessary. You don't have to. But, I'm just putting it out there if you'd like to. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me for this one. So remember to be good, be awesome, be safe, but more importantly, stay more dorkish. All right, guys, until the next one, peace.